This week, the Nikkei 225 moved more than 2,100 points. The US dollar against Japanese yen close to 160. And oil suddenly crossed more than $100 per barrel because of the Middle East tension. If you are living in Japan, especially as a foreigner, this week is more important than you think. Let's understand this week in a simple way. So we start with Tokyo Stock Exchange. The Nikkei 225 started this week at 53,600 range. At some point, it went up to 55,200, which is 2,000 points up. So investors thought the market was going to continue rising, but suddenly the things were changed. Can you guess? Yes, it was exactly the oil price started rising very fast. But at the same time, global tension in the Middle East started worrying investors. So many investors become nervous. They sell stocks first. And that exactly what happened on Thursday. The market dropped again and finally closed the week nearly 53,300 range, which was started range of market. So in just 1 week, the Nikkei went up strongly, then fell again and became very volatile. At the same time, the yen, the US dollar against Japanese yen nearly around 160, which means the yen is still weak. Gold also hit record levels earlier this week because of investors were looking for safety. So this was not a normal week. This was a week where stocks, oil, currency and gold all are moved together. This was not a normal week. Then why this happened? Any reason? Yes, that is oil supply fear. A large percentage of world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. When there is a tension in that region, oil prices can rise very quickly. As a result, the oil is moved around $100 this week. This sudden spike created the panic in this market. So whenever the oil prices rise, investors immediately start worrying about the inflation. Why? Once the petrol becomes expensive, electricity becomes expensive and transport becomes expensive. When transport becomes expensive, our daily needs become more expensive. Because of that fear, investors immediately start worrying about inflation. At the same time, yen is becoming weaker again and the oil prices rise while the yen is weak. That becomes a very strange and dangerous combination for people in Japan. One side, oil price is rising. On the other hand, yen is weakening. So this part is most important for the people in Japan. To be honest, this is the part most channels they don't talk about it. If oil prices continue rising, petrol prices in Japan will increase again. Electricity bill may go up. Transportation cost can increase. And slowly, the cost of living in Japan can become higher again. You could have watched some of our shorts saying about energy bill versus living in Japan. Japan depends heavily on imported energy. So when global oil prices rises, the impact here is usually very fast. Even if the Nikkei 225 is moving, the real impact is not only for the people in investors, it affects normal people living in Japan. And especially for foreigners living in Japan, this becomes even more important. Why? The US dollar against Japanese yen, it stays against 160, which means sending money back home becomes harder. Your savings may not feel as strong as before because of yen is weak. So this week's market movement is not just a financial news. It can slowly affect petrol, electricity, transportation, and mainly your daily expenses in Japan. So how about next week? It can be also very important. Why? The market is reopening after the long weekend and the investors will react to the global news again. If oil prices continue rising, the market can become more volatile. Also, many investors are now watching very closely about the Japanese yen against US dollar. If it crosses again 160, the Japanese government may step in to control the yen. So the next week may not be calm. It can be another volatile week. This is not something to panic about, but this is the time to stay informed because in Japan, global problems is not only global problems, especially oil prices and currency movement can affect daily life very quickly. If you are living in Japan and want simple weekly updates about Nikkei 25, US dollar against Japanese yen, and how it affects daily life here, subscribe and stay updated because the next few weeks can be very important as well. Thank you.